everybody who's usually there was there, I think that. So she's keeping off our tunes.
Oh, you can keep it on. It's nice in the background. It's quiet enough.
Good.
It's lovely.
Okay. And go. That's a pretty picture.
It is a pretty picture. I should actually... Hello everyone, welcome back to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My friend Cheryl and we're going to talk to you about books we're giving other people. So, if family's watching, go away. Go away.
You promised you'd never watch.
Yeah, so now's not the time to start.
Really.
Yeah. So we haven't pre-planned anything. It's completely off the cuff. Oh, there's some cat hair. So I think for the most of the time, you and I tend to give books as gifts, don't we?
Absolutely. In fact, I have a newly discovered, relatively biological brother in Whitehorse, and he has 4 grandchildren. I don't have any. So I started sending them books, and now postage is so expensive and everything that I finally went, wait a minute, I can go online. I found a beautiful bookshop in Whitehorse. So I bought gift certificates and said to him, just heads up, there are gift certificates coming and the kids are old enough to choose their own books. So yeah.
Where did you get that ring?
Oh, this is a good story. Do you want to hear this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this
is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. So completely off topic, except writing. You and I just finished Red Ridings in the Hood, a production at the local community theater, and it was one that I co-wrote with Lauren Abramson. Plug it, shout out. In 2004, I readapted it. We just finished putting it on at the Pond Playhouse again, and there's a line in there. Woody the Woodsman talks about being just a woodsman, and that's completely modeled on being just a mom, all from here.
Right.
But he discovers at the end that he's a silviculturalist. That's his journey through the play. But the actor, what the actors bring on their own is just so lovely. This actor, who was delightful and sort of evolved, he decided that Woody was going to say, he's going to try to say I'm a silviculturalist, but he says, I am a citrus. And they all go,
No.
and then he says, I am a silver cuttlefish.
No.
I'm
Closer.
a silviculturalist.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
But silver cuttlefish, I'm like, where does that come from? So yesterday, my daughter Rachel and I went to a local craft market, and there was a jeweler there that Rachel has bought stuff from before, and we started chatting, and she says, let me show you, let me toot my own horn about what I just made. And I'm thinking, please do, because I'm trying to toot my own horn. She said, this beautiful ring, I love it. She said, look at the sparkle. It's a cuttlefish.
Oh, man.
And it was silver. Yeah. And I just said, then Rachel looks at me, my daughter, and says, you're going to start crying now, aren't you? And I wasn't going to cry. And then the jeweler's crying, and there's a pregnant woman there, and we're all going, it's going to be a silviculturalist and stuff. So I bought my silver cuttlefish ring.
That's lovely.
And then Rachel wanted one, so she got one in brass. So we have matching rings.
How lovely.
Hers is a Christmas present.
Oh,
she
okay.
knows about it, but yeah.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very... My
Good
little
for you.
talisman. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the beauties of Christmas is I often get myself something. I haven't this year.
No?
But no.
Just haven't found it yet, that's all.
Well, no, I have not shopped very much at all. It's really, it's very low shopping year. So one of the things that I like to do over the course of the year, now I'm one of those aggravating people that tends to have everything done by August except for the stockings, and I didn't this year, and it has stressed me out hugely.
Yeah.
And one of the things that both Cheryl and I did when did we do that? Was it the winter?
Yeah.
When we ordered that pile of books?
That's right.
From
line here.
We did an unboxing. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
So this was my first Christmas attempt. And so this is the Born of the Sun, Adventures in Our Solar System stories, edited by Mike Ashley, and it's science fiction classics. So I got that for my son, and I really have no idea whether he even likes science fiction or not, but I thought,
we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, it was different, and it was short stories, and one of the things he has diminished eyesight, so I think short stories are more up his alley these days because you can get a lot out of something without as much eye strain.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah. So I do need to take off.
I was
for
just
sale
thinking,
sign.
Lorene.
Yeah.
Let's just peel these tags off because
Yeah.
Nothing says I love you like two
Like
floor.
like a sale. Buy one, get one free. And at the same time, for his girlfriend, A Phantom Lover and Other Dark Tales by Vernon Lee. So she's a very much a gothic story, horror story, scary, creepy things kind of gal. And then the other one I picked up more for myself because last Christmas we ended up talking about this quite a bit. Traditionally, ghost stories were a large part of.
You had said.
Yeah, and so the Dickens one, where there's the Christmas of future, past, present, and future, is somewhat based on that tradition of ghost stories. So this one is Chill Tidings, Dark Tales of the Christmas Season, and these are older Gothic authors, Algernon Blackwood, H.P. Lovecraft, so Jerome K. Jerome. Now he's not so old, but
Still Algernon.
what a name, Algernon.
Yeah.
I'm not. You couldn't even call a cat that without any kind of.
We get called algae for short.
And the last one from that I purchased was The Spirits of the Season, Christmas Hauntings. Again, older authors and older spooky things. And I got this one because I didn't. Ryan has a bunch of authors that she likes to follow, and so I gave her the choice of her Christmas present, but months ago. So hopefully she forgets, and so I'll give this to her next year or read it myself.
Good.
So that's it for me from that little shopping trip.
You're getting me kind of interested in, maybe I'd like to read some little, at this time of year it's hard sometimes to settle.
Yeah.
And so just to have short stories that would be, you could just sit down with a cup of tea and read one and then knock something else off your to-do list. So
That's right, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, out of that same stash that I ended up tucking away and miraculously finding again, which is very exciting to me when I buy things that far ahead.
Yeah.
I tuck them away, and then this year I tucked them in my studio closet, and then I wanted to keep that kind of spare, so I tucked them in the downstairs closet in the little tiny bedroom. And then yesterday my son and his wife arrived, and as I was putting things together, I looked in the closet and thought, now I have to take those up 2 flights of stairs. I'll just leave them in my studio closet.
Oh, the troubles.
The troubles of keeping secrets. So my daughter-in-law is a writer, and so this is called, from the British Library series, A Pin to See the Peep Show by F. Tennyson Jesse. And I just said to Lorraine, I don't remember what any of these are about, but sensational murder trial in the 1920s, the Thompson-Bywaters case. A work of fiction follows the life of Julia as she pursues a successful career but enters into a stifling and unfulfilling marriage. Bored, frustrated, prone to flights of fancy, she begins a passionate affair which has deadly consequences. Creeping unease, it says here, continues to haunt, and I know that Amelia really likes kind of darker stuff, so I thought this would be interesting for her.
Yeah.
And then the other one is just the opposite, a delight. Oh, the brave music. And I had read this when we originally placed an order through, and I just loved this. I loved the character. Just flip back to previous shows of Lorraine's, and it's the lead character, Ruan, an intelligent, imaginative child. It's set in Scotland, so she climbs up through the Highlands and everything too. And I just loved everything about it. It was. I love Anne of Green Gables. That's like my lifelong thing.
Yes.
And this really got to me very similarly. So I thought this would be one I'd like to share with Amelia. And then maybe what I should do is say, tell me when you're reading it, and I'll just reread it so I could have an actual conversation about it rather than just, what was that? Because I am left most times when I read with, I liked it or I loved it, but I really couldn't articulate exactly why. I just connect on a really emotional level, and then that's what I'm left with. So, and that's just me. But,
Well, that's an interesting point because I just finished a book. Oh, Steve just finished a book that I had read. It's got to be 9 months ago or more. And he's so what did you think of this book? And I'm looking at it thinking, did I read that? Can you remind me of something? So, it was the Crawdads.
Okay.
When the Crawdads, and I'd had thoughts about it at the time, which I didn't share. And so 9 months later, as he's speaking, I'm starting to remember, but you know, that kind of clarity is gone. So I think there's a good reason for not necessarily book clubs, but book read-alongs where you and a buddy or something just decide, okay, let's have a chat about this, and we'll meet for coffee and then have a talk, because I find it very frustrating that I can't talk about a book. And there's one that I will be talking about probably in a couple of weeks, Washington Black.
Oh, I really want to read that. Interesting.
Oh my gosh, I was so upset by it. And there's no one to talk to about it, but it's for my upcoming book club in January. Yeah. And I cannot predict whether they're going to go for it or not. I really can't.
Will you write down your thoughts? So
I will. I will do a video of it, but not post it. So you have to wait.
Can I ask what you thought of Where the Crawdads Sing?
I liked the first half of the book.
That's interesting because I stopped reading it about 3/4 of the way through. I thought, no, I just can't.
Yeah, the ending was, it didn't make any sense. It's like where, once she starts to get into I could see her getting into the relationship with both boys, but their thinking and their behavior towards her, and just as she came into maturity, and it just didn't make any sense. So when she was a young child, connected to the environment, but still struggling, and she had a community of people who were looking after her, that all was really worthwhile reading. But then as we get into that whole murder thing, it just kind of left the room.
And I didn't care who murdered him. I just didn't care. I didn't care if I found out or not, or just wasn't affected by it. But my daughter Rachel read it, and she must have liked it because Reese Witherspoon optioned it and did a movie.
Yes.
And so we're somewhere, and of course she's on our, whatever it was on, Netflix or something. So she actually texted and said, do you mind if I spend $5.99 on your account renting this movie? Well, fine, you can go ahead. And later on, she informed us that it was a complete waste of our money. Don't bother spending that $5.99 for yourself. That's sad.
Kids.
Anyway,
yeah. So in the past, I've had the luck that one of our children has liked the Patrick O'Brian series. That's the boat one.
Okay.
Master and Commander, and it's being turned into miniseries and so on. And I think that there's close to 15 books in that series, something. Anyways, we'd give her 1 or 2, and then she would read it and then share it back with Steve. And then they've got this kind of cycle of reading. Once you've read all of them, you've gone around the world, and so then you can start again or what have you. So anyway, she's finally reached the end of the series. So she asked me to start up a series she wants to reread from when she was a child. Wow. And it's by Tamora Pierce. And she was in our city back when Phoebe was 10 or 11 or something like that. And we started with the Alana series, Song of the Lioness, and the first one was Alana, the First Adventure, which she already has. So I picked up the next one for her, In the Hand of the Goddess, which is Alana disguised as a boy becomes a squire to none other than the heir to the throne. And I remember it was a really fun story, but what I did was, based on my experience with the Patrick O'Brian series, is that the publisher changes the book styles. They'll change the height, or they'll so you don't get like a collection. And I think if you're deliberately trying to get a collection, then so I got her the other 2, and that's why if you see this, Phoebe, haha, you spoiled it for yourself. But the other 2 are there for her birthday, and so that's what I did for Phoebe.
Yeah. I'm just gonna take a musical interlude, sing choir a song or something like that, because my dog, if you've heard chomping, is chomping a bone, and now it's time for her to stop chomping the bone because she's eating too much of the bone. So I'm just taking the bone over here and putting it on the counter. But my dog is so lovely that she knows she's not going to argue with it at all. So there, thank you. Jingle all the way, open sleigh. There you go. La 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 la. All right. Next up, I purchased, and I don't know if he wants hardcover, but Jordan, my son, is, I know he's a fan of Cormac McCarthy, And the only one of Cormac McCarthy's that I've read was The Road, and I did enjoy it. It was very, very dark. I read it several years ago. But this apparently is his newest book since he wrote The Road. It's been like 16 years.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen it in several, like the bookmark advertising, get books for the holidays. And I believe I saw it written up in what do we get? The Globe and Mail, I think, is the one of Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's I really don't know, what is it about? Oh, right, Pass Christian, Mississippi, 1980. The Bobby Western zips up the jacket of his wetsuit and plunges from a Coast Guard tender into darkness. His dive light illuminates the sunken jet, 9 bodies still buckled in their seats, hair floating, eyes devoid of speculation. Missing are the pilot's flight bag, the plane's black box, and the 10th passenger. But how? Shadowed in body and spirit by men with badges, the ghost of his father, an inventor of the bomb that melted glass and flesh in Hiroshima, and by his sister, the love and ruin of his soul. Anyway, it's dark. All of his stuff is dark. But it was compelling because the last one he wrote was the one that I read, and it's been 16 years, so I bought The Passenger.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
I hope
Christmas.
you like feeling depressed. Yeah.
That's right. They're both, Jordan and Amelia both love dark stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Amelia's favorite author is Flannery O'Connor.
Oh,
And they're very dark
very-
and twisted, and she
yeah.
likes that sort of stuff. So
I suppose if you like it, then you wouldn't be depressed, right?
I guess not. And I have never read anything that Amelia has written. I know she's been working on a novel, and it's getting close. And so I'm curious to read what her writing style is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, it was also for Phoebe, and Steve came across this one, and it's actually become a little bit battered. It's the golden age of maritime maps when Europe discovered the world, and
That was in that bookstore in Wolfville. He got that.
what was it that time?
yeah,
Oh, that
yeah.
long ago. Okay. Yeah, we went on a trip to Wolfville, the 4 of us, right? That was
Yes.
before we went to go see Two
Planks and a Passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was in the summer.
Yeah, so it's all these interesting maps of,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
Wow.
And her thesis back when she was doing her master's had to do with navigation and she's very interested in maps. Maps have been a big thing in the family because it's part of a course that Steve teaches. And there's nothing more that Phoebe and Steve would not enjoy more than going to a table with a topographical map or a map of like the bay that we're in if you're going to do sailing, and so they would plot a course and figure out where the currents are, and they just love a map. So yeah, I hope that showed all right. Anyways, he's been reading it, and so the dust jacket is a little banged up.
It's just pre-loved.
Yes.
That's all. Yeah. If there's a book that I pick up and it has a map in the front, I will generally put it back down.
You don't like a map in a
I don't
book?
like it. It just, to me, it indicates that this is not, I'm more about the person and the detailed about their life. And if there's geography involved, I'm not really interested. So,
yeah. I read a book
It's
just
different.
a couple of weeks ago where he was traveling up through Labrador, and it was such a poor map.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is supposed to be a cartographer for the National Geographic, and I thought, what a crappy map. And also because it didn't give like a distance thing, and I think it only took them 3 days for this canoe journey, and they had planned for 6 weeks. I thought, wow.
And then what did you do?
What ruler did he use? Yeah.
Was it a short book?
It was actually, thank God, it was not up my alley. But I think if there's that kind of a content, it was an interesting book. But if there's like a journey, Marco Polo or something, I do like a map because my geography senses are so poor.
Well, I guess that's it. My geography senses are so poor, and apparently I'm not interested in fine-tuning them. So... But I think, again, for me, like, I do enjoy a description of landscape, or I do enjoy a description of place, but it's more about the visual than the geographical that I connect to. So, which is similar. I mean, the Brave Music that we just talked about, the place and the description of the hills and and like even the feel of it, that I find very interesting. But in terms of 25 miles up my brain starts to work at things like, which way is east? Like I'm trying to sort of plot it all out in my head, and that's not a strength.
And how long would it really take that person? 7 minutes to run that distance? That looks a lot more than 7 minutes. Boy, they're fast.
That's right. Yeah. But they've been trained at all. So how is this even possible? I don't know.
Pretty, she has asthma. No.
I know. Gosh, most of I guess I'll come to my husband at the end. This is also for Amelia, and Animal Person, short stories by Alexander MacLeod. And I've loved anything that he's written. And again, I can't tell you specifically what any of these short stories were. I read it myself, and I just loved every single one. Like I was just excited to go on to the next one. I forced myself a little bit to take a pause rather than like sit with something for a while and the emotion that I was feeling rather than dive into the next one. But just the first paragraph is startling, suspenseful, deeply humane, and yet alert to the undertow of our darker instincts. Their 8 stories in Animal Person illuminate what it means to exist in the perilous space between desire and action, and to have your faith in what you hold true buckle and give away. Muscular and tender, beautifully crafted and powerfully alive. I really enjoyed this book, and I'm taking the price tag off as we speak.
That book is on my book clubs.
Just peeling them off.
My book club's doing that one in February, I think. So that's interesting that you enjoyed it.
I'll reread it in February, and we can
even double check.
I'm starting to reread a lot of the books that I read when I was younger. I started, now I won't be able to remember what it is. Robertson Davies. I was at the cottage and I didn't have anything, and I picked up Fifth Business again, and I'm just loving it. I think I've read it twice before, once when I was much, much younger. And it is one of those books that I think you just appreciate on a different level every time you read it. Yeah.
It's interesting. He's not an author that's aged well in terms of like some Margaret Atwood, for instance, Margaret Lawrence, and so on. Some of these authors, their names are still in the present, and I think he's just kind of drifted off. And I'm not sure, because I quite liked most of his writing, although I do have someone in my world who's a fairly good, a well-read person who despises him, but she also doesn't like Great Expectations, which is one of my faves.
So it's just different tastes.
Just different. She's so wrong.
She also fine.
She doesn't watch. For Phoebe's partner Zachary, again a series. He wanted the first one last year. That was sequel to the 3 Body Problem, and this is by Zixine Louis, and science fiction, huge. And the same thing I did. I bought him number 3. He'll get that for his birthday. And because I wanted this series to all look kind of the same. So I have no idea what it is about. I think it's very serious science fiction in that it's not for people who are forgiving about the genre. They want their genre a certain way. And so
the 3 Body Problem, I think that Scott read that, my husband Scott, and friends of ours in common, Peter and Brenda Tidemers. So Peter, I think, loaned it, as Peter loves science fiction, so there's a lot of exchanging of books happening there. But the 3 Body Problem is sounding very familiar to me, and so this is giving me some ideas for Scott maybe, although the next 2 books that I have are for Scott. Because he's a Stephen King fan, and possibly because I am as well, because I will read this, so it's money well spent. His latest is called Fairy Tale. I'm not gonna.
It's not short stories. It's a single story that involves a staircase.
I guess so. I thought it was an eye, but thanks for looking closely and describing what it actually is.
Well, maybe it's both.
Yeah, it could be both. Legendary storyteller Stephen King goes into the deepest well of his imagination in this spellbinding novel about a 17-year-old boy who inherits the keys to a parallel world where good and evil are at war, and the stakes could not be higher for that world or ours. So it sounds,
maybe it's YA as well.
It might be, but I'm hoping that he'll like this. So I bought this without even consulting. I just thought, Stephen King. I bought Scott a couple of books last year, and he just pointed out that one of them is still sitting on his bedside table waiting to be read. So I thought, okay, Stephen King, I know he's read and he enjoys. Now I wish I'd known about the Three Body Problem ones, but I may go out and get those. And this one is one that Scott pointed. There's a bookmark catalog that comes out for Christmas. And when I was away at the cottage for 3 days last week, apparently that arrived in the mail.
Yeah.
And when I came home, it was quite cute. There was a little tiny flag sticker with a very poorly drawn happy face on it, sitting right in there beside this. And I thought, good for you, good for you. So I immediately went out and bought it from Bookmark.
Oh, nice.
The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin, and I know that he's read. You started him on that.
Yeah, I got him on that
right.
series, yeah. Which I didn't enjoy.
That's right, but he enjoyed all three of them. So so this is by the same author. And again, I don't know, it's N.K. Jemisin's Great Cities Duology, which began with The City We Became and concludes with The World We Make. Oh, it's part of it. Is a masterpiece of speculative fiction from one of the most important writers of her generation. Many people on the back like it. So
thank goodness.
I know.
It'd really be bad marketing if there was someone there who goes, Barack Obama will not read this book.
Okay, here the bottom one is BuzzFeed News, which I've never gone to, but apparently they're important enough to be on here. It says, quote, a masterpiece of eldritch urban fantasy. What does eldritch mean?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've seen it before, and is that... Is that something from Lord of the Rings?
I don't think so. But again, because Lord of the Rings had a map at the beginning of it, I didn't get too far. So I don't know.
Note to self, no cookbooks with maps in them for Cheryl.
No.
Okay.
Thank you. That's the end of my pile. I have some auxiliary things to mention, but
yeah. Well, this one's for Steve. Leonard Cohen on a Wire by Philip Gerard, and Steve does like a graphic novel, and so I try to get him a Canadian one whenever I can. So Leonard Cohen, and it looks like he goes off to see the troops somewhere, and his concert life. There are nice illustrations. It's not too dark and gloomy. I don't like those ones where there's so much black in it that you can't really, like, there's an example. If the whole book was like that, I don't enjoy them. That's just too, I like color in my stuff. There's another one, On My Steps, that Steve bought for himself sometime last winter, which was very annoying because that was my plan for this year. Paying It Forward, I think it was, about First Nations experiences in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was too bad. But it's difficult to, if you're not in the genre, it's hard to know what to buy for someone. And I don't love getting a gift certificate because they, what my family do not do is meet my expectations. I think, they'll go to that store and they'll order the thing that, and then they'll get there and they'll go off on their own and do something entirely different, which is fine. It's just that then I think, well, they still didn't get the book that I think they wanted.
That's right. Yeah.
It is all about me.
Yeah, it is all about me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah. So go ahead. You had some auxiliary stuff.
I just want to ask about who Philippe Gerard is because the name is familiar, and so what other stuff has he done? Nothing really.
He's a hang on.
And is it like just a made-up story about, or is it like
no? I think it's like biographical. Right. It's properly researched. Okay. He's from Quebec.
Okay.
And he first did comics in children's magazines when he was 8 years old.
Wow!
And has published more than 20 books. He's won the Joe Shuster, the Bedidales, the Badillas. This is his first book with Drawn and Quarterly, the publisher. And I do not know. They recently collaborated on the film The Physics of Sorrow.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what else he's written. But it has a bibliography.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're well done. Yeah. Really nicely done.
So.
Okay, the other thing, so we're sitting here and there have been flakes of snow coming down and there's this storm that's supposed to be moving in and then in some weird fashion like moving out and then getting pushed back again, or it's pushed from a different direction than normally would be.
Right.
All I know is that Jordan and Amelia came up from Boston. They arrived yesterday, and they just narrowly avoided a large snowfall in Boston. So it's probably coming from that.
Okay.
There was one winter when we had a storm every Wednesday, and it was awful, really awful, like tear-inducing, like traumatic. Every Wednesday, you think you just got it cleared out, and then there's another dump of snow. So I remember talking to them about this once a few years ago, and they said, we had a year like that, except it was every Monday. And I said, it was the same year. Boston got it first on Monday, and we got it on Wednesday. So anyway, there's snow coming. So last storm that we had was Fiona. I really wanted and didn't have a crank radio, because the one thing I really miss, other than coffee after the storm, is radio, to just stay in contact with what's happening.
Yeah.
So right after that, I got myself one of these, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of cool looking too. But this is like a crank radio, and then it has solar power as well, so solar charging. It has like a glow-in-the-dark locator. It has a flashlight. It has a USB charging, an alarm clock. So it has all sorts of fancy little features.
Just hold it closer to the camera.
Thank you. So I got one for each of my kids. So what I have to remember when I wrap them is that in this case, I will ask them to open them at the same time, because sometimes if I get too many similar gifts, it's like, oh, great, I got that too. I know it's coming. Anyway.
And gradually, keep them all in the same color.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Maybe I'll hand paint something on them for them. Yeah, because I have lots of time. And the other thing that I got for last Christmas, which for the stocking, which arrived in February, 2 months after Christmas, and I got a call from Bookmark saying your pencil's in, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. But these pencils arrived in February. I ordered them in like November for Christmas.
Oh, man.
So they must be in high demand. But they're a grammar pencil set, which I just thought was funny. I'm silently correcting your grammar. The effect of good penmanship. You're not done until you have checked your work. Regardless of what you think, irregardless is not a word. And they're writing in their notebooks over there. I just thought they were funny.
Yeah, they're cute.
They're good for stocking. And then there are famous women writer pencils that I got for Amelia. And it's a repeat of what would Jane Austen write, and then it goes through the same thing for Maya Angelou, Sylvia Plath, Dorothy Parker, who wrote one of the books that we got through the British.
Yeah.
Is that Dorothy Parker? No. Dorothy Evelyn Smith, that's what I'm thinking. And Emily Dickinson. Right. So I have no idea if Amelia writes with pencils, but now she will have pencils to write with.
Well, for when the electricity goes, she will have to.
Because pens don't work when the electricity goes.
That's right. Especially the ones with multicolors.
I know. They're just on the fritz. Where's my pen charger? I don't know. Oh my God, why didn't they make a pen charger in this thing?
Does it have the pencil sharpener?
That's a good idea. Do you know what I'd love? Is the old-fashioned pencil sharpener.
I have one. It came with the house,
Oh my God. Do you use it?
All the time.
I would love to have one of those. So
next time we go shopping, they are so great. Yeah. And you know, there's a generation where it's very heavy steel. Yeah. And then there's another one where they've thinned it all down and stuff. They're not as good because that thing comes off way easier. So. Right. Yeah, and so in desperation, you can also use it as a weapon, just in case. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's what I would like. I might go online on eBay and go down a rabbit hole, and or I could have a nap instead. That's probably what I'm going to do.
Oh dear. Yeah. Are you going to nap now?
When you leave. We do have cookies to eat, so we'll have to have a little cookie party afterwards. But
So one of the things I am going to do, and I'm going to mention it now because I don't know what my plans are for the rest of the month. There's a lady that I follow, Gina Steiner Books, and she with another person is doing something called the 12 Days of Christmas, which start on Boxing Day and go for 12 days, the Days of Epiphany, which really has nothing to do with the story except that it coincides. And so they have given 12 prompts for having a cozy post-Christmas, because their thinking is, you know, after Christmas, there's all this letdown. What have you got to do? A lot of people are still on holiday. So I think the first day is very simple. It's light a candle and read a chapter from a cozy book.
Nice.
And then book 2 is something, read a favorite author, and it goes on until I can't remember exactly what all the, I do have the prompts here. I even went to the trouble of writing them down. There's a hashtag for it. I think it's called Cozy Christmas. And anyways, I'm going to sort of trot along beside it. And one's read a cookbook, read something short each day, read a children's book or a fairy tale, do a puzzle or a game, read some kind of vintage a Christmas book, an old movie or a musical, a historical fiction of some sort, which could be a movie probably, have tea out with a friend.
We did it. Yeah. Check it off the list.
What's not after Christmas?
Oh, right. Okay. We'll have to do it again. Yeah. Darn.
Choose a book for 2023, and the last one is bake a cake.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So there in her recommendations, these prompts come from authors that the two of them have read over time who do cozy mysteries and that. And one of them does, I think it might be a lady called Angela Thurkel, but don't quote me on that, who has written cozy Christmas short stories. And so, I don't know. I think this is a reader who likes, she likes romantic books, and she likes a book that's just a lot. She wouldn't be too interested in what Amelia's reading, I think, most of the time. Yeah. And she made a recommendation, which I did get put on hold, Winter Solstice, that I put on hold from the library right away because it's also just a cozy winter book. Okay.
Yeah. I was getting it confused with A Winter's Tale, which I think is a Mark Halperin. And
yeah. I think that one's kind of scary.
A long time ago. I can just picture the cover because I'm visual, with a big white horse with wings on it or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so the other thing that's coming up that you might be interested in, I haven't decided whether I'm going to participate, is GEM, G-E-M, of books. And I will try to figure out how to link in this doodly-doo. You know, I really can't figure out how to do that. She's doing something with a couple of other booktubers called Past and Future. And I think it's for the month of January. They're also very easy prompts if you like that. And they've got a bingo with different, if you want to do a bingo game with the different prompts. And it's mostly reading a favorite author's backlist or reading a favorite author's new release, or it's got all that kind of things that are pretty undemanding. So, and also low. One of my objections to these kinds of games that happen on YouTube is quite often you have to go out and buy books for it. You don't get enough lead time to know. Oh, I need to collect up for that.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is expecting that you would just do it from the books you already have on hand, or something that's easily accessible.
Yeah. Good.
So that's it for me. How about you?
I got nothing.
No, you had a lot.
Delight. I did have a lot. Yeah. No, I'm just looking forward to. It's funny when you say the downtime after Christmas. I'm like, oh, Boxing Day is my favorite day.
Yeah, leftovers.
It's like leftovers and pajamas and books.
Yeah.
Pretty much, or knitting or something like that. But I was just thinking when you said an old movie, what would be your favorite old movie if you were going to look for something? If you could find it really quickly on Netflix, without having to search forever. But
I like Galaxy Quest. I don't know if that qualifies as old.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. Like I love Sleepless in Seattle. I'm like, I don't know if that's really old. But
I don't know. I guess is old black and white.
Well, it's just relative.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Old, I guess. I know what we like if it's old is the Thin Man series.
Oh, okay.
I'm so bad at remembering actors' name. He's a real sardonic private detective, and he's married a woman who's rich, who always wants to be part of the adventures, and he's dealing with the underworld, and he's always locking her in closets, and she's got these peignoirs. And so she's always wanting to change, and just wait for me, Nikki, I'll put my hat on. And just he locks her in the bedroom. And there's a little Jack Russell Terrier that's always getting into trouble. And
so is it like a TV series? Or
I think there's 3 or 4 movies in the series. Okay. Yeah.
Wow, I've never heard of that. I mean, I feel like The Thin Man is familiar, but maybe it's in other media. But that's something.
It's sort of an early comedies, and it holds up reasonably well because there's not a ton of slapstick in it, and it's more an exchange of smart-ass remarks.
That's
Yeah.
looking. Was it Looking After Baby, or there's a Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, were they looking
they have
after
the
the
tiger?
Or the tiger,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember seeing that
so
for the
good.
first time, and
Yeah.
I adored it. It was the same thing. It was the back and forth and the back and forth, and
Yeah,
it was like a farce, but they never stopped.
yeah.
The lines were just
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
one would you watch? An old movie.
Sleepless in Seattle is one
Right.
that I just love.
Yeah.
And for Christmas, I guess, well, it's a children's show with the snowman. It's just I just love watching that.
I haven't watched that for ages.
Yeah. And I'm not sure. Well, lots of people like the Christmas Vacation and those kind of things. I'm not that into
No.
it.
Yeah, we were chatting about that last night.
Rom-coms.
Every Sunday, my kids and I meet, and with my husband too, because he's the one who turns on the camera.
Mhm.
We were talking about how Zachary basically hasn't watched any of these things. He remembers the original Rudolph, and he remembers the original Grinch.
Mhm.
And aside from that, he
Yeah.
might have watched Charlie Brown's Christmas, but all the rest is just not on his radar. And we're all making suggestions about what he could read, and I said it's going to take him a week to watch this. He's never going to want to go to Christmas again.
And come to see you and say,
Yeah.
now you must sit down and you must watch
Yeah.
A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
That's another one that I love at Christmas time.
Yeah. And there's
Yeah.
so many versions of the Christmas Story, and so one, Phoebe and someone else love the Muppet Christmas thing. I like Mickey Mouse because it's short.
Yeah.
But really, I think the
Yeah.
best one is the Alistair Sim one,
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
atmosphere. And,
Yeah.
But
Creepiness.
it's one of the longest short books, because it's a very short book actually, and it doesn't take that long to read at all.
Yeah.
But for the atmosphere and everything, they just prolonged it. Yeah.
Or you could do Bill Murray. He did Scrooged as well, which
Oh,
was kind
yes.
of funny. I do
Yeah.
like Bill Murray, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
we're off to go and finish our cookies. We
The
didn't eat on
cookies.
camera because
I know.
we're
They
vain.
look too pretty. Yeah.
Lemon poppy
Lemon
seed.
poppy seed, delicious.
So I'll see you guys next week. I hope all your reading
Yeah.
dreams and adventures come true. And Cheryl, we'll probably see you in the new year.
Sometime. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes.
Okay.
Happy holidays. Bye
See
bye.
ya.
Okey-dokey.
It's fun. It was just like hanging out.
Yeah.
Except lots of, I have no idea what this is about. I have no idea what this is about. So that's, I think they'll like this. Buy it. Done.
I should have said we don't have any affiliations with any bookstores. Nothing. Like this
Right.
is
I
just.
did mention Bookmark many times. but
That's okay.
I
but
just like them.
Yeah, that's our bookstore, but we don't.
Yeah.
They don't pay us.
No.
Bye.
Yet.